Gunpowder wasn't invented as a weapon. It was invented to make emperors immortal. 9th century Chinese alchemists were brewing an elixir for eternal life. Saltpeter, sulfur, and charcoal cooked in a lab, not a battlefield. Instead of immortality, they built something that can end a life in half a second. And the strangest part, the basic recipe hasn't really changed in over 1,000 years. Think about that. The deadliest chemical mixture in history wasn't built by soldiers or generals. It was built by monks chasing eternity. That's like trying to cure aging and accidentally inventing dynamite. And it gets stranger. For almost a century after they found it, nobody used gunpowder to fight at all. The first written mention of gunpowder isn't a weapons manual, it's a warning. Around 850 AD, a Chinese text describes alchemists mixing saltpeter, sulfur, and honey. And it ignites so violently, it burns down the building and scorches their hands and faces. The text warns other alchemists, don't try this. For 200 years after that, gunpowder stayed a curiosity. Fireworks, signaling, scaring off spirits at festivals. Nobody thought weapon yet. The first gunpowder weapons weren't even guns. They were fire arrows and fire lances, basically flaming tubes strapped to spears. Real handheld guns didn't show up for another 300 years. And when gunpowder reached Europe in the 1200s, historians still can't agree how it got there. Trade routes, the Mongols, or Europeans stumbling onto the same formula on their own. So how do 3 powders become an explosion? Each one has a job. Saltpeter carries its own oxygen. That's why gunpowder can burn even underwater or packed inside a sealed tube. Charcoal is the fuel. Sulfur lowers the ignition point and helps everything catch and burn evenly. The ratio that took centuries to perfect is roughly 75% saltpeter, 15% charcoal, 10% sulfur. Get that wrong, and it's not just weaker. It can fail to ignite or become dangerously unstable to store. Here's the part nobody talks about. Mixing it dry was so dangerous that makers mixed everything wet instead into a paste, so a stray spark of static couldn't set off the whole batch while they stood in it. The paste gets pressed into a hard cake, dried, then broken into grains, a process called corning. Corning matters because uniform grain size makes the fire spread at a predictable speed. Too fine and it burns almost instantly, which can blow apart a gun barrel. Too coarse and it barely burns at all. And here's the twist. Gunpowder doesn't actually explode like movies show it. It burns incredibly fast, which is called deflagration, not detonation like TNT. No shockwave, just fire expanding fast enough to push a bullet down a barrel instead of shredding it. 4 facts that still don't feel real. 1. In England, the king's men called saltpeter men could legally dig up the floor of your house, your stable, even a church, to harvest nitrate-rich soil. No permission needed for centuries. 2. Gunpowder makers planted entire willow and alder forests, grown specifically to feed the mills because that wood burned faster and cleaner. 3. Gunpowder mills were built with 3 strong walls and 1 deliberately weak wall facing open ground, not because they hoped it wouldn't explode, because they knew it eventually would and wanted the blast to go one way instead of killing everyone inside. 4. That thick white haze over old battlefields wasn't fog. It was gunpowder smoke, so dense armies sometimes couldn't see who they were shooting at. That's the real origin of the fog of war. So next time a firework goes off, remember, you're watching a 1,000-year-old accident, a recipe born from monks trying to cheat death, perfected in mills that were built expecting to explode, using soil dug out from under people's homes. Same 3 ingredients, same rough ratio, still used today in mining, fireworks, and antique firearms. So here's the question. If this recipe hasn't really changed in 1,000 years, what else have we been doing exactly the same way without realizing it? Drop your guess below. And if this kind of history messes with your head the way it messed with mine, subscribe.